Are you desiring more out of life? More love, more connection, more experience, just more aliveness? Well, that is your soul calling you. And together we are going to uncover those soul desires and help you bridge the gap between your physical life and your true soul self. Welcome to the Suddenly Spiritual podcast. My name is Emily. I'm an intuitive, a psychic medium, and someone who recently and very suddenly awakened to spirituality. On this podcast, we are going to talk all about connecting with your soul to live your fullest, most beautiful life. We're going to talk about spirituality from the perspective of the everyday person. It's my goal that you feel seen and supported on this journey of discovering your soul and awakening to the incredible world of spirit. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to the Suddenly Spiritual podcast. This is Emily, and I'm so happy to have you here. The episode you're about to listen to is a replay of a live workshop that I did over on my Instagram account. I've been doing these live workshops every Wednesday for the month of September, and it's been so much fun. This month, we're talking all about soul discovery. So all the topics this month are related to discovering who you are at your core and connecting more deeply with your soul. I've really enjoyed doing these workshops, these live videos, so I plan on continuing them into October. So if you want to come and hang out with me live, be sure to connect with me on Instagram. My account is Suddenly Spiritual, and I would love to see you over there on the live videos or just interacting in any way that's best for you. Now, before I play the replay of this workshop, I just wanted to let you know I have a brand new kind of reading that I'm now offering, and I am super excited about it. I'm calling them Soul Oracle readings, and these are readings that I'm doing with Oracle cards and a combination of psychic and intuitive information. The readings are intended to give you a deeper connection with your soul and some guidance for making decisions in the most soul aligned way that you can so that you can live out your true self in this lifetime through the decisions that you're making. And you can have that clarity and confidence as you move forward. For these sessions, you can ask me a question, and that will lead the focus of the reading. So we can talk about relationships, we can talk about your career, we can talk about your soul purpose, whatever is happening in your life right now. Bring that to me, and let's discover what messages Spirit has for you, what messages your soul has for you, and how you can best move forward. These readings are going to be really cool because I'm doing them completely remotely. So we don't need to set up a meeting or anything like that. You will get all of the materials via email. And what I mean by materials is you're going to get an audio file it's like a personal podcast episode just for you with your reading and all of the messages that came through for you, intuitive explanations, everything that you need is going to be there in that audio file. You're also going to receive a digital reference guide is what I'm calling it, but basically a PDF of a summary of your reading along with some more information about the cards that I pulled for you, some photos of the cards, and any messages that came through for you that seem really important for you to listen to and connect with. And the reason that I wanted to include this more physical aspect of the reading, this digital summary, this printable guide, is because I know that for some people, they really connect through audio, through hearing, but some people really connect visually. And so seeing the cards that were pulled, reading the information, I know for some people that will really activate that message within them. And I want to be able to provide you messages that really speak to you in the way that is best for you and in the way that you can most easily implement the messages that are coming through. So these readings, I'm offering them for only $33 for now, which is bananas. And I can tell you I'm not going to keep them at this price, but for now, it just feels so fun and so exciting to offer a reading at an accessible price, and I would really love to do a bunch of these. So, for now, the price is $33. It's not going to stay that way forever, but it'll stay that way for as long as that price feels good and fulfilling to me. And I just cannot wait to connect with you on this soul level and provide you the messages from your soul, from spirit, that are going to help you move forward toward the life that you are meant for. Um, you can get more information about these readings in the show notes. I'll put a link, and I cannot wait to connect with you. Thanks for listening, and let's go ahead and move on to the episode. Enjoy. Hi, my friends. Today I'm going to be talking about making soul-centered decisions, and we'll go through what that means and why it's important. This is another little mini workshop that is part of my month-long chat with you about living more from your soul, about connecting more deeply with your soul. So we've already talked a little bit about how to connect with the energy of your soul. That was our first week. And then the next week, we talked about trusting your inner guidance, your intuition. And today we're going to talk about connecting with that intuition again and connecting with that energy in order to make decisions in your everyday, real, physical life, and how you can sort of bridge the gap between your soul and your physical life. Because I know for me, those things feel really separate, but we're going to talk about how to combine those two aspects of you so that your everyday life feels like a really magical, soul aligned experience. So that's what we're talking about today. And I'm just going to get right into it. I'm hoping to keep it right at 20 minutes today. That's my goal. I have some notes right here beside me. So when you see me looking off to the side, that's just me checking my notes. Trying to make sure I stay on topic today. So like I said, we're talking about making soul-centered decisions today. And that I'm going to give you some action steps that you can take and that you can start applying to your own decision-making process to help you make decisions that align more closely with who you truly are and what you want to get out of this lifetime and this experience here on earth. So first, let's talk about what I mean by soul-centered decisions and why it even matters. When I say soul-centered decisions, I'm talking about making decisions that align with your soul, align with the energy of your soul, align with your unique being and what you're here on earth to do and to experience. And it's important that we make that consideration when we are making decisions because this is our life. This is our experience here on earth, and we want to get the most out of it. We want to have the best experience possible. We want to make sure that the life that we are living is in alignment with who we truly are, because that's how we're going to have the best experience here. That's how we are going to have the most enjoyable experience here, but it's also how we're going to fulfill our purpose here on earth in this lifetime. It's by living from our soul. It's by trusting that internal guidance and living from there. That is how we're going to live out our purpose and experience the most meaningful life here on earth. And so when we're faced with a big decision, even small decisions, but I think when we're faced with a big decision, that's where it really comes into play, trying to figure out, is this right for me? And I'm going to share with you how I make those big decisions of if something is right for me or not by connecting in with your soul. And I'll give you some actual action steps that you can take to apply to your decision-making process. Before we get into those steps though, I do want to talk just briefly about the difference between inner influence and outer influence. Today, when we talk about soul-centered decisions, we're talking about connecting with that inner guidance, that inner influence, the intuition that you already have within you. What we talked about last week, the same thing. We're talking about connecting internally. And most of the time, most of us are not making decisions from that place. We're making decisions based on everything outside of us. We're making decisions based on society's expectations, on the expectations of the people around us. We're making decisions based on how something will make us look, right? How will I look if I make this decision? What will people say if I make this decision? It's really based on all of those external factors so often when we make decisions. And what we want to do is try and separate from the pull and the influence of all those external factors. We want to try and separate a little bit from that so that we can also hear that internal guidance and make decisions from here, from our soul. The way that I'm going to share with you to start making this transition to making soul aligned decisions is through defining your core values. And core values are the non-negotiable, we're going to make them non-negotiable, the non-negotiable parts of they're non-negotiables for you to live out your best life. They're what's most important to you in this lifetime. And they have to do with how you want to experience this lifetime and how you want to experience the world. It's all about what's important to you, and it's going to be unique to you. What I'm going to recommend is that you work on defining 3 to 5 core values. And these are what we're going to use when we're met with a big decision. We're going to ask ourselves, does this line up with the values I have defined for myself? Does this line up with the life I want to live and the life I'm trying to create? Does this line up with who I am now and who I want to be? Because sometimes in a big decision-making process, like let's say maybe you're considering moving somewhere, we might be spending all of our time thinking about, well, what's the cost of living in this new place? Can I get a job there? What's the housing like? All of these factors, very practical, like earth factors that we need to consider with these big decisions. But we also need to think about, does moving align with my core values, align with what I want in this life? If one of my core values is freedom, and moving would allow me to work a remote job and have so much freedom in my life, then yeah, that sounds great, right? But we want to make sure that these decisions that we're making line up with where we want to go, and we're not only making decisions based on all of these very physical aspects of being a human, all of these things that we have to consider being a person in the person world. We also want to consider the things that are important to us internally. And I'm going to give you some examples of what some core values are, and maybe some of these will like light a little spark in you, and you'll think, oh yeah, that's me, that's important to me. And this is not an exhaustive list, it's just a list that I typed out to give you some ideas and kind of start getting the ball rolling, so you can start thinking about what are the things that are important to me and how I want to live my life right now and how I want to live my life in the future. So some examples are freedom, love. Another core value might be nature and spending time outside. Could be health, spirituality, creativity, fun and adventure. Relationships, maybe relationships are super important to you and it's really important for you to maintain those relationships. Maybe it's community and service to your community. Maybe it's personal development and your own internal growth, or your family, or maybe it's honesty or presence or education. Your core values, it's going to be sort of like a big category, like all of those are. It's not going to, your core value won't be like, I don't know, going for a walk every day. Your core value will be, it's important for me to, it would either be like health, because it's important for you to move your body, or nature, because it's important for you to connect with nature. It's going to be a big category of what's important to you in your experience of life. When you're thinking about what your core values are, you can connect in with that inner guidance, that inner knowledge that we talked about last week, and you can ask yourself, what are the things that bring me joy? What are the things where I lose track of time? What are the things that just feel right? And to discover what those core values are for you, what I did for me is I just started writing it out and writing. What are my core values at the top of my page? And then I just made a list of all the things that were really important to me that felt like soul desires, soul values, things that were undeniably part of who I am and what is important to me. And as I made that list, then you want to look back through and narrow it down to maybe 3 to 5. You don't want to have 20 core values. That's really confusing, right? You want to narrow it down to maybe 3 to 5 things that you feel like are the pillars of who you are and how you're meant to move around and experience in the world. So I'll share with you some of my core values. One of them is spirituality. It's really important for me to continue this spiritual connection that I've developed. It's really important for me to take that in consideration when I'm making decisions, because I want to continue developing my spiritual connection. And it's really important to me in how I move through the world, how I experience every day. Another one of my core values is love. And for me, I left that broad, just love, because that encompasses self-love. It encompasses my relationships with other people. When I think about a question that I focused on a lot earlier in my spiritual development as I was trying to live a more loving spiritual life, is before I made a decision, if I didn't know what to do, I would say to myself, what's the most loving thing I can do right now? And I would make a decision from there. Because love is one of my core values. It's how I want to exist in the world as a beam of love. That's the energy that I want to feel within me and that I want to put out. So that is another one of my core values. Another core value of mine that I'll share with you is aliveness. And I'm pretty sure I made that word up. So there's permission to make up a word if you feel like there's a certain feeling that you really value that doesn't have an exact definition. And for me, aliveness means presence. It means experience. It means curiosity. It means the feeling where you feel so freaking alive and you're like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. Look at this life I get to experience. And so that plays into my decisions. Like, does this make me feel alive? Does this make me feel like, holy shit, I'm here in the world, I'm alive? And if it does, that decision does make me feel alive, it does activate that aliveness in me, then I know that that's a decision that's aligned with my soul. And so hopefully as I'm talking about my own experience, you can kind of see how you can use these values to make decisions and make sure that the decision you're making is aligning with your soul, aligning with who you are, who you want to be, where you want to go in this lifetime. And I also, I guess along with that, I do want to say these are your values right now. And it's okay if they change in the future, because as we evolve and grow on this spiritual and personal development journey, our values are probably going to change because we've grown and changed. And so what you choose today is for you today, for where you are today. And if in the future it feels like, you know what, it used to be really important to me to have like extreme freedom in my life, but now that no longer is as important to me, that's okay to then revisit and change. I think it's important to always be self-assessing and reflecting and really like in tune with who you are and reflecting like, okay, am I still wanting to go this same direction forward? Do things need to change? It's okay to make that change and to make that self-assessment. So what I really want to encourage you to do is to work on defining your own core values. And like I said, write out a list of the things, the feelings that are really important for you to experience day to day and in this life. Think about what your favorite feeling is. That's when I came up with the word aliveness. I was like, that's my favorite feeling. That is important to me. And think about what's your favorite way to feel. Joy can be a core value because you can create and seek that out in your life. You can make decisions based on joy. You can make decisions based on excitement, based on fun. It's all about who you are inside and what activates you. And your core values are not going to be the same as everyone else's. So start thinking about and defining those values. I really encourage you to write them down because honestly, you're going to think about this and then you're going to forget about it. But if you write them down, hopefully you'll remember. Maybe you can even post them somewhere where you will see them, where you can think about it and really help yourself to realign with what it is that you want out of this life and who you are, really who you are. And then once you have those defined, you can start using those core values as guideposts for making your decisions, just in the same way that we've been talking about, just asking yourself, does this align with who I am? Now, as you start making your decisions from this soul aligned core value place, I just want to emphasize, remind you, encourage you that you need to have your own back. And what I mean by that is that you need to support yourself as you are making these decisions, because sometimes, like, maybe you will make a decision that feels like a really soul aligned decision, and then things don't go like you plan. Maybe everything goes haywire and it all falls apart. That's okay. That is okay. That is your path. And it doesn't mean that you are wrong if you make a decision and you don't get the outcome that you want. You need to have your own back. Treat yourself with support, with kindness, with love. And doing that is really going to develop that inner trust within you, that ability to hear your inner voice. You need to love yourself through the process of learning to make these soul-aligned decisions and know that just because you don't get the outcome you want doesn't mean that you're wrong. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve a life that is aligned with who you are. It just means this is part of your path. It means that this is a lesson that you were meant to learn. There's a saying, and I wish I know who said it, but I don't know who to credit it to. But as I've gone through different personal development and business coaching through my last business that I used to own before this, but my old coach used to say, you either get the outcome you want or the lesson that you need. And so as you're making these soul-aligned decisions or any decision in your life, just know you are either going to get the outcome that you desire or the lesson that you needed to learn. Because failure or things not working out the way that you anticipated, that just doesn't mean that everything is wrong. It means there's a lesson there for you to take forward and for you to take into the future so that you can make whatever improvements, whatever awareness that you needed. The other thing I want to remind you, or just to let you know about making these soul-aligned decisions and about having your own back, is that sometimes the decisions you make may go against what other people expect you to do or what other people think you should do. And that's okay, because like we talked about, we're moving away from making decisions based on other people, based on everything external. And when you start making decisions from internal, from who you are, from what matters the most to you, you're probably going to surprise some of the people around you because it's not going to fit in with their concept of the world, of how people should act, of what they think you should do. But know that any opinions or resistance from other people is based on their own life experiences and who they are. And you are making decisions based on who you are. So you need to just make sure that you have your own back and be aware that other people might not always be on board with the decisions that you are making. It may surprise them. And the reason for that is because they are looking at the world from their perspective, from their way they think everything should be and everyone should be. It has nothing to do with you, but you are making decisions from your heart, from your soul, from what is most important to you, from your core values, from what feels right to you. And if it feels right to you, if it aligns with who you are, then that's the decision that is best for you. So you'll need to have your own back and support yourself so that you are able to be confident enough to move forward with these soul-aligned decisions. Remember that it's a practice and we're not going to get everything right the first time. So this is something that you can bring into your decision-making process, that you can practice. Be gentle with yourself and give yourself so much love through the process. And look at that. That's the end. Can you believe it? I think I'm less than 20 minutes. I actually don't know what time I started, so I don't know how long this is, but that is what I have for you today. I really hope that this is helpful. I hope it gives you a different perspective for how you can approach decision making in a way that aligns with who you are, supports your soul, and helps you to live the magic, beautiful life that you are really, really meant for. That's all I have today. So I'm going to hop off. We got so lucky. My baby's napped through this whole thing, and I'm not going to push it any farther and have him wake up and screaming while I'm still here chatting. So I hope that you have a really good day. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Suddenly Spiritual podcast. I'm so grateful that I get to be part of your journey of spiritual expansion. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would leave a review for me on Apple Podcasts. It's a quick, free, easy way for you to support this podcast, and it helps me reach more people who are looking for support on their spiritual journey. You can find a link to leave a review in the show notes. Thank you so much, and I'll chat with you soon.